Guess what? Guess what?
Cherylyn Barnsey.
Hello, Chuckies. Cherylyn Barnes here once again. Alright, so we've got one from Jack Solace, and what he wants to know is, what's your thoughts on cosmetic surgery? Well, I guess it's really none of my business what people want to do to themselves. I've said if I had all the dollars in the world, I would probably get something done myself. But I want to tell you a story about a bird who Desiree was friends with. She went to primary school with her and she actually lives a few streets away. And her name's Tamara. First of all, let's start by saying she's a bit of a scumbag. She's got 4 or 5 kids, million different fathers. She's shocking as a mother. I think I might not be the best mum in the world. Desiree might not be the best mum in the world, but we're doing a hell of a lot better than Tamara. Every time you see a kid, they've always got dirt all over their face, their clothes are all mouldy and they stink. And, she gets them to run little errands for her. They're always knocking on the door. Mum said, can I have a little bit of milk? Or do you have a couple of eggs? And I'd always give it to her because I don't mind and I don't want the children to do without. She used to send the kids knock on my door to ask me if they could get a couple of smokes because she ran out and she got no money for the rest of the fortnight. So I'd give them to her, and then one day they knocked on the door and I actually quit. I started up the E6. So I said, sorry Chuck, you'll have to tell Mum that she'll have to go scab her smokes from elsewhere because I've actually quit. Maybe she should try it or go and get a job. She can buy her own smokes. I'm not here to support her habit, believe it or not. She ran back, she obviously told Mum everything, and then I saw Tamara in the street and she just ignored me. So I actually don't mind because, like I said, she's a bit of a scumbag. So anyway, Desiree used to go around there and used to drink up and whatnot, and then they had this big fight and then they stopped talking to each other. But we'd always noticed that, there'd be different cars there all the time. Every time we'd see her, she'd be with a different bloke. She'd be having fights on her front lawn and then you'd never see that bloke again. Along comes the next one. And then all of a sudden, all these blokes just stopped coming. There was this one flash car. It was like a BMW or something. That was coming up couple times a week, and then this old bugger used to get out, go in the house, stay a few hours, and then he'd leave. So I pointed it out to Des one day, and she said, yeah, I saw them in the cross. Tamara was drugged out of her head, tits hanging out of her top, and she's hanging off this old guy's arm. And so Des said, I want to know what's going on. I'm going to become a friend again. Des starts hanging out there, and then what she tells me, this old bloke, he's actually chopping into Tamara, doing the naughties with her. In exchange, he pays her rent and he gives her money and, she gets all the groceries and whatnot. It's convenient for her to give the rest of the guys the flick and live off this old guy. Desiree was telling me he makes her do all this dirty stuff and walk him around like he's a little puppy dog and put on a dog collar, and he gets like billiard balls and he pops them up her whoop. And I said, Des, I do not want to know. All of a sudden we noticed one day she's going to get the mail. She goes out of the house. I never noticed it before, but all of a sudden she's got tits out here, and I was like, Des, she's had a boob job. And she said, give me a look. And she looked and she goes, I think she has. A couple of weeks go by, all of a sudden now she's got this big humongous bum. So Des goes over again, and Tamara's had her lips done. She's got this big fish mouth. So she says this old bloke, Cliff his name is, he is actually making her get all this plastic surgery as well as having sex with her whenever he feels like it, in exchange for paying the rent and all of that. And I said to Des, if Tamara's getting all this money, the least she could do is go to the chemist and get some cream for those kids because they're always scratching. Scabies or ringworm or something. Always scratching their head, got a head full of nits. Yeah, so anyway, I guess what I'm saying is plastic surgery, I don't mind. You do what you want, but don't go overboard with it. And 2, maybe try and pay for it yourself. I wish I had some big rich man who has all the dollars who can go and, suck the fat out of my arse, or I just have to go without, or I have to save up like everybody else. Anyway, so what do you think? Maybe you can send me a tweet at Cherylyn Barnes. # big plastic tits. You can add me on my Facebook site, and that is www.facebook.com/SherylynBarnesAU for Australia. And make sure you add me on Instagram at Cherylyn Barnes, and make sure you click subscribe so you can see all the YouTubes what I've done and all the YouTubes what will come out in the future. Alright, Chookies, let's leave it at that. Ciao for now, Chookies. Super cool.